love it. Hey, man, I'm so glad that we could connect. Thank you so much for taking a minute out, man.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So, before we begin our venture into your good work, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging. We were all knee deep, figuring it out, so many unknowns. Ultimately, how did you survive the pandemic, and how has it reverberated into the work that you do today?
Oh man. So I actually did much better during the pandemic than I had ever done prior to it.
Yeah.
But I also, so I work in tech. A bit about me. I go by a couple of different monikers. My name is Argustic Dunbar. I am a tech coach, or I help men and mostly husbands get into the tech space, right? Earn over $100,000 working remotely, working from home, so they can spend time and be present with their family, their kids, things like that. And so that's one thing that I do, but specifically, I use a certain type of technology that helps automate business processes, right? And during the pandemic, people were being laid off and jobs were being lost and revenue wasn't being made. And so I was at the right place at the right time where we had a technology that was new, it was budding, and it's relatively inexpensive and it helps businesses automate processes. So I started making $100,000 for the first time during the pandemic, right? And from that moment, I realized I said, you know what, I'm not going back. I'm not going into any other career field. I'm not trying to like become a front end developer or a back end developer. There's so many different things you can do within tech. I really planted my flag and I said, hey, this is what I'm doing now. And that's kind of what became the launching point for my business where I said, hey, not only am I doing this, if I can make 100,000 during the pandemic with, all my years of experience, then I really believe that I could teach anyone how to do this, even if they don't have a technical background.
So, let me ask you this. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream at 12 years old to grow up and become?
I don't even know well, okay, so my dad always told me, hey, go do something with math, go to college, do something with math, you'll be okay. And he was right about that. So I think I just always wanted to grow up and be a husband with a wife and kids, getting paid handsomely. Like I really wanted a relationship. Like that's what the younger me. I remember going to like Six Flags and stuff and like seeing all the like boyfriend, all the couples walking around, like, oh man, I'll never have one of those, right? So like that was it. That was it. And so by the age of I think I got married at 28 and I was making the money and I was just like, oh wow, okay, I am here. I have arrived at where I wanted to be. And then the next issue became like, okay, well, what's next? Like, what's my next grand, bigger vision? And that's
Yeah.
when I got into the masculinity coaching and relationship coaching for men.
So take me back to where you were born and raised, and what were some of these foundational elements that have allowed you to not only be successful, but to open that door up to others to become successful?
So I'm in therapy. I am an advocate of therapy, especially if you have the right therapist. And one thing that one thing I've always known about myself, I have a very, very, very big ego. Okay, very, very big ego, and I am courageous. Probably I like to say I'm slightly more courageous than the average man, but maybe it's a bit more than that. And one thing I've always said is that there's no emotion I'm afraid to feel, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so what I've learned recently just through reading books and therapy and all these other forms of personal development is that success is sometimes a trauma response, right? It is sometimes from a place of I was unloved when I was younger, right? And I had to and you mistake a praise and applause from others, like attention, for love, right?
Yeah.
And so you get to the point where you think, I must earn the love of other people. Like it is not consciously, this is a subconscious thought. It's not a conscious thought. I must earn the love, like the applause and the attention that feels like love. And so I must become wildly successful. I don't have a safety net. No one's gonna come save me. I must save myself. And once I become successful, I'll have an abundance of love that I can never lose, type of thing. So that's a long-winded way to say my childhood had quite a bit of trauma in it. From just from seventh grade to graduating high school, I went to five different schools, so I didn't really sit still. My parents were on drugs, and so they were on again, off again. There's just a lot of instability in my childhood. And had you asked me this just a few years ago, I'd have said, "Oh, my childhood was fine. It was normal. It was whatever." But now looking back at it and comparing it to like what I'm hearing in others, is like, no, it was chaotic. There's a lot of turmoil, and it's all just kind of made me who I am today. So I don't regret any of it.
Absolutely. So, who was that hero that's allowed you to become you? That inspirational force?
Are you asking like mentors almost?
Yeah, or just somebody that's been a figure in your life consistently that's allowed you to dream, realize these dreams, and to be found like solid in who you are.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely one of my biggest is my dad, my father, right? And it'll be so many times I'll ask him like, "Hey, you did this when I was growing up, and I don't think that was wise, or that really hurt me in this way." And I'll say, "Why? What was going on?" And he'll say, "Look, man, I was on drugs." He's like, "I was on drugs." He's like, "I was on crack." I don't know, right?
Yeah,
But one thing he always did was he shared his shortcomings with me. He never tried to make it seem as though he was perfect. Like there was one point where like he had to like he was coming out of jail, and he had to get his driver's license again. He had to get employed again. He had to get out the halfway house and get his own apartment again, and I either saw these things or he communicated these things to me as they were happening. And so
yeah,
I look up to him and I say, man, who would I have been had I not had him and had access to him and him being in my life, even when he was in jail, even when we were separated, and I was in one part of the state of Texas and he was like 5 or 6 hours away, type of thing. And then outside of that, I also had my cousin who also went to the college route, also majored in computer science and tech and things like that. And then I kind of just modeled myself after him, right? So I would say, those are who my two longest running, most consistent kind of like models have been.
So, if you could meet somebody, anybody on the planet right now that's overcome, that's become successful, that maybe you could talk to and ask questions to that would help you on your journey, who would that be?
Oh, that's all I do. That is literally how I've become me. I find different mentors to latch on to at different points in time, and I learn as much as I can. So, one of my favorite guys right now, I love Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
I love Tony Robbins. I like Tony Robbins so much that I had the idea of like wanting to be like a life coach and compete. And then once I like really got into how deep he's in it, I'm like, bro, I just joined you. I'll just join you. There's no need to compete. Like you've got it all. Like, how can I compete with a guy who I get most of everything from, right?
yeah.
Another one of my really good mentors, I talked to him today. His name is Markwell Russell. If you look at him, he's got tats everywhere, mouth full of gold, but he's a doctor, right? He's got a PhD, and he teaches entrepreneurs how to build their business in such a way where you can make I'm sorry, seven and eight figures, and still have time for yourself, for your wife, for your kids, right? And he talks about this concept of creating from a place of rest, right? And how you have these big lofty goals, and in the spiritual world, like it's already done. If the universe or God or whatever you believe in has already put it in your mind, right? It's already done. We're just taking the steps in real time to make it happen, right? And so he's the mentor who I'm probably closest to right now and trying to emulate.
So it's funny you mentioned that because that was my next question was how do you balance what you do? What motivates you to wake up every day to do the best you can as a professional, but to also take care of your own soul? Do you have to have a balance?
Joe, these are incredible questions.
Good.
I was not expecting this. Well, so I want to make sure I answer the question. I am not balanced, but I try to be. I don't think there's perfection in this area. Me personally, I've learned that growing up, I wasn't necessarily like nurtured in a feminine way, right? And so what that has turned into is I'm the kind of person, I love intimacy. I love intimate conversations. I've learned to like small talk. I don't mind small talk at this point,
Yeah.
but I really do enjoy getting to know people.
Yeah.
And my rule of thumb is I only talk to people who I'm interested in. If I'm not interested in you, you're going to see it on my face. And to not be rude, I'd rather just not talk to you, type of
Yeah.
thing. And going back to prioritizing self, um, I also have an offer where I hope 6 and 7 figure bachelors build their roster or build their perfect relationship with a woman or women, if that's what they want to do, on their own terms. And I had a relationship with a woman who, so I'm married. I had a girlfriend as well. I've done a lot of things in the past 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And I was married, and the other woman who I was entertaining at the time, she left, and I was very, very, very sad, right? Very sad. My wife saw it on me and all these things. And I was on a call with a mentor, and what he told me was, he said, Augusta, you made the cardinal's mistake of manhood. And I said, what is that? He said, you made a woman more important to you than you were to yourself, right? And that is so true. And I look at what all these men are doing today, right? They're putting everyone else's needs ahead of their own, right?
Yeah.
Now they're burnt out, they're busted, they're disgusted, right? And I've heard so many men say, "Oh, well, my feelings don't matter. As long as my wife and kids are happy, that's all that matters." But it's just like that's not I don't think that's feasible. I don't think that's wise. I think that if you are the captain of your ship, if you go down, your ship is going down, right? Another analogy I like to give is when you go on a plane, right? And they say, hey, if the cabin pressure starts to go down or we start to nosedive or whatever, take the oxygen mask, put it on yourself first, then you're the children and people next to you. And
Yeah.
men try to do the opposite. We try to take care of everyone else, and then we're burnt out, right?
Yeah.
And I found myself there. And so now another caveat, I'm kind of extreme. I fluctuate from one extreme to another. And so my rule now is I am the most important person in my life, right? Because if I some people say their kids are their most their accomplishment that they're most proud of, right? And I look at that and I say, okay, well, if I have a confidence level of 2 out of 10, then my son gets a father whose confidence is a 2 out of 10. If I say, hey, I'm going to divest myself of all these other things, I'm going to miss some kind of sporting events, I'm going to miss some things in my son's life, such that I can pour into me. So I can read books, I can meditate, I can do things that make me better. Now my confidence is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now my son, my wife, my friends, everyone I interact with, they now get a version of me whose confidence is 8 out of 10. So by making me better, I make everything around me in proximity to me better. So the
Yeah.
balance to me is this: I do what I want, when I want, with who I want, all the time. I say no to mostly everything, such that I can pour into myself.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I see, and this is a long-winded answer, but this goes
Oh
into
no, it's
it.
good.
One of the other things that I see men do wrong with in their relationships with their women is they try to give them things. It's almost like, hey, I want to give her the world. I want to give her a ring. I want to give, 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 give. And I think that giving is good, but I think it can also come from a place of I don't feel good about myself. And I only feel good when I give. So therefore I give, 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 give. And now I'm depleted and don't feel good about myself. So it's like a double whammy, right?
Yeah.
And I was dealing with one woman one time and she was I was trying to give her something and she was like, "No, no, no. I only want you to give me that which you genuinely want to give me, not what you feel like you think I need to be here or to stay." And so it was interesting for the first time I had a woman who I liked a lot telling me, like, no, only give me that which you want. And so this is why I tell men it doesn't matter what a woman wants. Don't ask her. Don't it does not matter. Only give that which you genuinely want to give, because if you're giving something with the hope of getting something in exchange, if you don't get what you want in exchange, now you're upset. But if you're giving from a place of, hey, I care about you and I just genuinely want you to have this and I'm not giving with any expectation, well, then that's different. So that's
Yeah.
why it comes back down to do what you want to do, not what society expects, not what your religion expects, not what your parents or your culture or your boss. Screw all of that, dude. You're a man. This is your life. Do what you want to do. And
Absolutely.
everything, once I downloaded that and I really started living that, oh my goodness, my life became so much more fulfilling.
So you had mentioned going through a lot of rough times between middle school and high school. So let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've accumulated. What advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Dream much bigger than what you're dreaming now, because the sky is the limit. not even the sky's the limit. Like you have no idea, man. You are going to change this world inadvertently. Just
Yeah.
by being you and doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
you're going to change this world. So be you, like who likes you, love who loves you, accept who accepts you, and accept yourself. Is what I would say.
So let's say you walk into a room of everybody that knows you in a business sense. You
Hmm.
swim through that group of people and go to a podium, and you can tell them one fun story. You can tell them the story about jumping out of an airplane, wrestling a crocodile, outrunning a bear, first concert you ever went to, something that would just kind of make them see you in a different light, a real fun thing. What would you tell that room of people?
Hmm. Oh man. That question is a bit difficult for me just because I'm an open book. Like I tell
Gotcha.
all kind of embarrassing stories about
Gotcha.
myself all the time.
Okay.
I would just have to pick a story. Um, oh man, I've got so many. It's almost like one of those times where someone says, "Make me laugh," like they
Yeah.
put you on the spot. But man, uh, I would just tell them a very relatable story in which I learned something deep about myself through comedic relief, right? Because a lot of times I learn things and you look back at it and you laugh. Um, yeah, a story is not coming to mind. But again, I'm just an open book, so I tell
Yeah.
all my own mistakes all
Totally.
the time.
I dig it. And that's an answer in itself. So at the end of the day, of all of this evolution that you've gone through in your life, everything you've accomplished and become, what are you the proudest of?
That I am bold enough, courageous enough to be my authentic self everywhere that I go. I really admire people who are kind of like they are themselves everywhere they go. They don't code switch, right? When they go into a certain room, like they show up as themselves, understanding that not everyone is going to understand them, not everyone is going to accept them, not everyone is going to agree with them, and they still lead and kind of show up with a loving, accepting presence of others.
So as a tech guy, what's your favorite piece of software and favorite piece of hardware?
Favorite piece of software is absolutely, man, I love AI at this point. I was going to say
Okay.
RPA. I
Yeah.
love AI. I literally just used AI the other day to help me in a like therapeutic like growth sense. Like was going back and forth with AI and having a conversation. I was in tears at the end of it. And I just learned so much new stuff. I like that moment took my appreciation of AI to like the next freaking level, man.
Yeah.
So AI, absolutely. Generative AI. And then hardware, probably my PlayStation 5.
Hold on, you froze up. What'd you say?
Probably my PS5.
Okay, I dig it. All right, okay. See, I'd have to go back to the iPhone 4. It was kind of that boxy, bulky. The first time I saw it, I was like, I can do all of this on this phone? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I dig it.
You're dating yourself.
Oh man, I am dating myself. So let me ask you this. Everyone out there has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Ah, that's a good one. I think that I am a full human being. I believe I am a man of understanding, right? I don't know if you've ever heard someone say you can't feel love and hate at the same time, right? One washes the other away. With that same kind of thinking, you can't be judgmental and understanding of
Yeah,
someone else at the same time. One washes out the other. I am a man of understanding. I try not to be judgmental. And at the exact same time, I'm about to sound like a hypocrite. I'm very judgmental. There are people who I don't like. There are things that I don't like. And I'm open and I'm honest about that. And so that's what I mean by I'm a full human being. Like I'm no better than anyone else. I am just holistic in nature. There are strengths that I have. There are weaknesses that I have. I'm a hypocrite, just like we all are. We all have these standards and principles and things like that. But under the right circumstances and scenarios, I'll do some shit that I said I'd never do,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
so that's just what it is. I am a full-fledged human being who is loving. I enjoy people. I'm outgoing. I'm gregarious. And I live my life in the way that I want. I am pro man. I am pro masculinity. I tell to people today, we live in a time where femininity is good and masculinity is bad. And it's like I don't like that. I think that we are two halves of the same coin, right? And men need women, women need men, and there's just so much division in between us. And so I see myself as a uniter, right? A truth teller, right? Even
Right.
the ugly truths, even the things that we don't appreciate, I'm here to see it, speak on all of it, and I'm a man of science. I don't care how I feel about it. I care about human nature. I care about what the data says, what the science says, and I'm a man of outcomes. I care about what outcomes that I want, and I'm going to get it however I deem what falls within my moral fabric or whatever, and I don't care what anyone thinks about it. And I think that more people should live that way.
I dig it. So if anyone wants to reach out, hire you, learn more, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yes. So to make it easy, you can go to my website, which is Make Me King, MakeMeking.net. Everything I'm about to say can be found there, right?
Okay.
That's the easiest place. If you're interested in the tech side of things, then you can reach me on Instagram at the RPA guy. That's Robert Paul Anthony, the RPA guy on Instagram. And if you're more interested in the masculinity, the dating, the sex, the relationship content, then you can find me on Instagram at King's Corner Podcast TV. Yeah, King's Corner Podcast. If you go Google King's Corner Podcast on YouTube or Instagram, you'll find me.
It's there. It's right there. And I'm going to put links in the show notes. Man, I'm glad we hooked up, man. This has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. And keep spreading the light, man. It's wonderful work.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.